Hello friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joycey Joy and today in this lecture we will discuss about how to reduce the gender gap in states. Before we begin, this is our channel StudyIQ and we are providing pen drive courses for various competitive examinations including SSC bank courses, UPSC optionals, SSC JE courses, teaching examination, railway examination, defense examination, RBI grade B, NABARD grade A, UGC NET, UPSC Civil Services Examination, CLAT exams for various state PSCs and also for various professional courses. You can visit our website www.studyiq.com for more details or you can call to any of these numbers for more information. Now, in the context of reducing the gender gap in the states, let us first examine the report by NITI Aayog. So, we will see that the NITI Aayog's first report on sustainable development goals. It aims at measuring how different states have performed in attaining the sustainable development goals. It also measures the rate of improvement made by different states in attaining the sustainable development goals. So, according to NITI Aayog's first report on sustainable development goals, except the state of Kerala and Sikkim, all other states are in the red list. That means due to various reasons, the performance of various states in reducing or bringing down the gender gap is very poor. But two states have fared well, that is the state of Kerala and the state of Sikkim. Now coming to the Economic Survey 2018, the Economic Survey mentions two important terms. One is missing women and second one is unwanted girls. So what is missing women? Missing women refers to those those who have undergone sex selective abortions or those fetus that were aborted from the mother's womb, and it accounts for 63 million in India. And unwanted girls is the second term that is used, and it refers to those families who have female children but they wanted to have male children. So they consider the female children or the girl child in their family as unwanted, and it accounts for 21 million. So these are the important facts highlighted in Economic Survey 2018. So the survey itself points out that there are mainly two reasons for this. One is sex selective abortion, which results into missing women, and second reason is continued obsession with the boy child, and this results to unwanted girls. So these are the two important terms that is used in the Economic Survey. Now coming to other significant factors regarding the gender gap in the states. The first one is high dropout rates of girls. It means that there are high number of girls who drop out from the schools, especially at the secondary level and the higher education levels. And this has culminated into increasing the gender gap. The second one is unpaid household chores. So, we will see that despite there is high levels of education in some states, high levels of employment among female in certain states, the Indian women spend around 10 times more hours in domestic labor or household chores, and this has also reduced the status of women and increased the gender gap. And thirdly, the improvement in the income of male workers. So when the male counterpart in a family earns more income, this will lead to increase in the family income. Especially in an era of liberalization, privatization and globalization where there are many opportunities. When the male member of the family earns more income, this will lead to a situation where the female member doesn't go for an employment, and this has also impacted the gender gap. And also the shortage of flexible work opportunities and also inadequate infrastructure has discouraged participation of women in productive economic activities. So we have seen that Indian society is predominantly patriarchal in nature. So it is considered that it is the responsibility of the women or the female to look after the domestic labor, to look after the children and the family affairs. So women needs flexible work opportunities and also adequate infrastructure in order to get herself employed. So in an absence of flexible work opportunities like work from home or flexible working hours etc. and inadequate infrastructure, it is difficult to get employed or to engage in economic activities, thereby widening the gender gap. And in this regard, government has taken several initiatives like the Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, it aims to address the issue of decline in the child sex ratio in 100 gender critical districts. And according to census 2011, there are 918 female for every 1000 male. So to bring up this child sex ratio favorable for girls, the Beti Bachao Beti Padhao aims to address the issue of decline in CSR or the child sex ratio, and it targets mainly 100 gender critical districts in the country. And second important initiative is Pradhan Mantri Madritva Vandana Yojana, which aims to promote institutional delivery for the first 2 deliveries of a female. And under this, cash transfers are done by the government in order to promote institutional delivery for the female. And also government has introduced the Maternity Benefit Amendment Act, which will regulate the employment of women during the period of childbirth. And under the Maternity Benefit Amendment Act, the duration of paid maternity leave has been increased from 12 weeks to 26 weeks, and mandatory crush facility has been made for any organization or any company which employs more than 50 employees or more. So such initiatives from the government tries to bring down the gender gap in the states. And also in the strategy for New India document, this is released by Niti Aayog, and the strategy for New India at 75 talks about the rate of development the country should attain at the 75th year of its independence. So Niti Aayog suggested that a dedicated unit should be established within the ambit of Women and Child Development Ministry at the central level and in its state counterparts. That means at the state level, the same Women and Child Development Ministry at the state levels should also establish a dedicated unit for monitoring the progress on gender related targets across the ministries. So it should monitor the available policies and also should monitor the progress of the policies. Now let us understand what has to be done in order to improve sex ratio at birth and education. First, the states need to strengthen the monitoring of the Preconception and Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Act. So this act was brought in the year 1994, and the objective of the act was to ensure nobody undertakes sex selective abortions in order to bring down the number of sex selective abortions. So a stringent implementation of the Preconception and Prenatal Diagnostic Techniques Act is very important. This will bring down the number of sex selective abortions. Secondly, investments needs to be enhanced on education, on information, and also various rewards has to be offered to the districts that achieve the desired sex ratio. So a sense of competition should be promoted among various districts, and the focus of the government should be rather universal than only focusing on the poorer sections, because in many states we will see that the richer section also undertakes sex selective abortion or consider girls as unwanted girls, because it is largely based on the society, on the attitude of the families and on tradition rather than monetary factors. So a universal focus is important in order to bring down the gender gap. It should not only focus on the BPL families or families that are economically weaker. And identification of girls who are at the risk of dropping out of the school and who have already dropped out of the school is very important. So this will bring down the dropout rates in the schools. And by identifying, the government should also incentivize those girls or girl children in order to participate in the education process. And there should also be a electronic national educational registry, and this registry should be able to track every child who is undertaking schooling in the country. So this will help in identifying the dropout rates and to incentivize those children who are vulnerable to dropouts. And financial incentives can be provided in order to delay child marriage. So by delaying child marriage, the families can promote their education, and thereby these girls can attain better job. They will attain financial security. So this will lead to empowerment of the girls and thereby reducing the gender gap. And conditional cash transfers or scholarships can be provided to promote girls' education. For example, Kanya Shri Prakalpa is a scholarship scheme, and the government should also ensure there are safe transport options for girls in order to undertake education and employment. For example, the Bihar state government is providing cycles, or there is a cycle distribution scheme in the Bihar state government to promote the education for girls, and also better public transportation, last mile connectivity, etc. will ensure more women participate in the labor force. And also the school infrastructure should be developed. It should provide separate toilets for girls, sanitary napkins to take care of their menstrual needs, etc. So the school infrastructure also needs to be promoted. Now with regard to employment, what has to be done in order to improve the employment opportunities for girls and to narrow down the gender gap in employment? First, time-bound targets for revising the decline in the FLPR, that is female labor participation rate. And also the implementation of legal frameworks are important. For example, the Maternal Benefits Amendment Act. This needs to be monitored, and if necessary it needs to be incentivized in order to encourage the private sector adoption of this act. The government can also provide tax benefits to sectors or companies that employ more than certain percentage. For example, if a company or a industry or a sector employs more than 30% of the women workers, the government can provide certain tax incentives or tax benefits to the company. And this was suggested by Niti Aayog in its document New India Act 75. So such tax incentives or tax benefits can also be considered. Government can also initiate various skill training programs which focuses on training women in non-traditional areas, that is on construction, taxi driving. So these non-traditional areas means those areas that have attained importance in this era. So we have seen it is the era of LPG, liberalization, privatization and globalization. So various sectors have gained importance, especially the services sector. So government can undertake training programs for women in these areas like hospitality, tourism, food management, food processing, etc. And the introduction of legal and social protection schemes also will help. So this will help the integration of women who work in the informal sector with that of formal sector. So there will be an integration of labours in informal and formal sectors. And it is also important to bring in transparency in recruitment and promotion policies, so that transparency will make sure that there is no gender bias in recruitment and also in promotion policies. Necessary steps are required to correct the gender biases in wages as well. We have already discussed in a different lecture that women get lesser wages compared to men. So the wage differentials needs to be corrected. And there should also be strict implementation of Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act. This will ensure the safety and security of the women. So stricter implementation means they'll feel safe to work. And another important thing is to pass the Women Reservation Bill, which is pending in the Parliament. The Women Reservation Bill provides for 33% reservation for women. So this will provide increased political participation for women. And this will ensure there is political empowerment of women. So this is also very important. You can find the PDF of this lecture on my Facebook page. And for any queries regarding your preparations, you can message me on my Facebook page, or you can email me at joyce.studyiq@gmail.com. Thank you.